for the radio space that Pandora now occupies, and they're offering higher royalties to artists for their music and per play royalties. So they're going to give 13 cents to start off. They're going to give 13 cents to start off, and then after, in the second year, they're going to give 14 cents per play. So for each time someone plays a song, they're going to get 14 cents, and then 19% of the associated revenue coming from ads due to that Apple will generate. So Apple will, as you're listening to songs on iRadio, you will get iRadio Apple will pump in ads and stuff like that, and artists will get 19% after the second year. In the first year, they'll get 15% of all the royalties generated, or all the ad money generated while people are listening to their songs and stuff like that. So that seems to, right now, Pandora is only offering 12 cents per listen, and according to the leaked contracts, which are being sent to individual labels rather than the label consortium such as Merlin, Apple plans to determine how royalties are distributed, which includes how many times listeners hear a song, coupled with how much advertising Apple is able to sell through its iAds program. Now, Apple has also stated that it won't pay royalties when listeners skip a song before it has played for 20 seconds. So Apple plans to push iTunes download sales through its iTunes Radio, sweetening the deal for itself and copyright holders who will benefit from those sales. And one reason Apple could be willing to pay the higher royalties than the default government set rate, because that's all Pandora is doing. The government set rate, it is doing that. Government set rate. Pandora's Westergreen Shield, away from a comparison between the two services, telling the Wall Street Journal it's apples and oranges, saying that what Apple is offering versus what we're offering is two totally different things. Now, Pandora, being the orange in the scenario, was criticized by members of the Pink Floyd crew recently for trying to get help in lobbying to sue the ASCAP for lower rates, and joined a group over the 130 other bands that stand in opposition to Pandora's policies on that situation. Now, Pandora pays royalties at the government set rate, under a government set rate, unlike Slacker or Apple or any of those music streaming services. In their US Today op-ed piece, Pink Floyd's Roger Waters, David Glammer, and Nick Mason members claim for almost all working musicians, it's also a question of economic survival. Nearly 90%, this is what Pink Floyd is saying, nearly 90% of the artists who get a check from digital pay receive less than $5,000 a year. They cannot afford the 85% pay cut Pandora asks Congress to impose on the music community. Now, Pandora is vehemently refuting that it's lobbying for any such thing. Pandora's founder, Tim Westergreen, hit back in a blog post at what he described as a lie manufactured by the RIAA and promoted by their hired guns to mislead and agitate the artist community, and also sought to empathize with supposedly dejected artists, writing, "As a long-time working musician myself, I fully understand the emotions and concerns of Pink Floyd and his crew." Now, Devin, when you hear about this, what iTunes, iRadio, and Apple is doing right now, are they taking advantage, you think, of you think they're taking advantage of the backlash Pandora is receiving right now by announcing their higher rates for royalties, paying over the government set rate at 13 cents, and then kicking it up to 14 cents, and then in addition giving them 15% of the royalties? Do you think that this is something that will sway people away from Pandora? Do you think Apple is onto something? Can they get the people away from Pandora with these, as far as artists go anyway? Can they get the artists shifting to their side, which will eventually pull people away from Pandora? Do you think Apple is thinking that, or are they just trying to provide the best service possible? What do you think?
I think they're trying to get the artists to move away from Pandora so that they could have a larger catalog of artists, but it's not that easy.
Right.
Artists are like everybody else. They're often less informed than they should be.
Right.
And they're not going to know the whole story. And it's going to take a while, if at all, for people to migrate, but it's possible.
It's possible.
It's really possible.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that
it's a good move from a business standpoint.
From a business standpoint, definitely Apple is doing. Yeah, it definitely is a good move from a business standpoint, and we know Apple has a tendency to get their ecosystem. They have a tendency to really be able to influence their ecosystem with the moves that they make. However, I know a lot of Pandora users are loyal users, and if Pandora, I understand that they're a small compared to Apple as far as company wise, but if Apple is willing to offer artists this kind of royalties with ad money as well as higher royalties, in the end, I mean, there are artists, artists want to, they're in business to make money as well. And, if Apple can offer them a better financial package with not a lot of, risk or downside, I just see artists really going towards Apple, not because they don't like Pandora or they believe the rumors that's going around with Pandora, not because of that, but because in the end, artists want to make, because as we know, the music field, any kind of artist field is really a fickle kind of business. You could be on top today and tomorrow, you're on the bottom. And so people want to make as much money as they can, especially in that kind of industry where longevity is not guaranteed. When you have these bands like the Rolling Stones that's been out forever, that's just not with the amount of artists that are out there. The Rolling Stones, that's just when you look at their group, you can't even aspire to have their type of success over the long term. A lot of these artists today are flash in the pan. You hear about them today, and the next thing you know, they're doing back alley clubs, saying for $10 a night because they just can't find any work. So I think Apple, from a business standpoint, this is something that for them could definitely get them more, more customers and people and artists willing to pull away, because artists want to make sure they can get as much money, just like with athletes, And I know that you say the culture is different in soccer than it is for basketball or football, but a lot of people who play sports for a living understand that the type of work they're in is not a longevity type business. In other words, you can't be 50, 45, 50 and still playing some sports. Golf, you still have, but for a lot of these sports that's out there, they have a limited time, and so that's why you'll see a player play for a team and he's offered big money at another team, and you go, oh, well, he just left for the money. Sometimes, it's all money-minded, but other times these athletes are thinking of their life after the sport. And so when someone offers them the big paycheck, they're like, you know what? I like this town, but I have to think of my life after the sport. And so they go and take the paycheck because they know that they could be injured tomorrow, that, that their longevity isn't guaranteed. And artists, are the same way. You could have an artist that's up and coming today, and then, you don't hear too much about them, in a couple of years. So if they can get more royalties, say it again, what you said there?
Fly by night.
Fly by night.
Hit wonders.
Yeah, and there's many of those. So if they can get royalties, better royalties from Apple than Pandora from a business move, I think Pandora now needs to up their game if they're going to be able to compete in this world where people are just on the go all the time. They want their music, they want it now, and they change listening music styles so often. But speaking of being on the go, in music. British Airways has designed a bag tag, digital luggage tag. It was created by British Airways and DesignWorks. This is a bag tag, digital luggage tag that they have created, and according to a report by The Verge, this is going to replace that little, baggage tag that you have on your, when you travel, you put that little bag tag on there telling, what your suitcase is, your name, address, and all that stuff. They have created a wireless luggage tag with e-paper display that people at the register will scan, and all your baggage information comes up and stuff like that. Now, we're up against a break, and we're going to talk about this coming up after the break. I mean, certainly an electronic tag has to be better than what we have now, right? Well, we're going to see about that as we go to break right here. So let's talk about that right after the break. The British Airways, are they innovative, or have they just not thought this through? All that and more coming up right after the commercial break.